Hi, I'm Lynda Schlegel Culver, State Representative from the 108th Legislative District. Welcome to Legislative Report. Today we're in Milton, Pennsylvania at Milton Steel, and joining me is Chris Holcomb, President of Milton Steel. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Representative Culver.
Thank you for having us here today.
Okay. You're welcome. Delighted to have you.
We'd like to share with our viewers a little bit about Milton Steel. I'm finding a lot of people don't know exactly what you do, and I think it would be great if we could let our listeners know what you do here.
Okay, sure. Well, Milton Steel is a structural steel fabricator. We've been in business in Milton since 1927. We started off as commercial construction for new buildings. Some of the buildings we've done in the Susquehanna Valley, Weiss Markets, Susquehanna Valley Mall, additions over at Geisinger, and other regional projects. We've diversified into some other areas. Our main product line is an Acro Bridge, and that actually is our parent company, Acro Bridges. So they make up most of our business. We also make storage racks for large distribution centers, as well as above-ground fuel storage tanks.
Chris, can you tell me how many employees you have at the plant?
So we have 162 employees, which consist of factory workers are mostly welders and machine operators. We also have inspectors, supervisors, and some office staff as well.
And do you find most of the people that work here are from the local area?
Yes, they are.
And fascinating story, you are as well from the local area.
I am. I grew up in Milton and went to college at Penn State, and then came to Milton Steel right out of college. I've been here 21 years.
That's great. It shows people can, start locally and stay in their home. So I think that's wonderful. The other thing I wanted to ask you, the projects that you do with these bridges, can you give us some examples of the places you have these bridges?
Sure. The Acro Bridge is a modular bridging system, which means it comes in components that are similar. So the truss panels that we make are all the same. They can be used on any bridge. And truss panels we make today could match up with ones that we made 15 years ago, and they're the same, and they'll fit together. The product is very good for emergency repairs after natural disasters. It's also good for use in developing countries. A couple of the high-profile jobs we've done is we supplied the ramp into Ground Zero after the 9/11 attacks to help with the recovery efforts there. And we also replaced over a mile of bridging on Interstate 10 across Lake Pontchartrain after Hurricane Katrina.
And I think I've just learned that you also have done some rails to trails.
We did in western Pennsylvania. We've done a nice pedestrian bridge on the rails to trails system.
And this company is just not within the United States. You also are an international company?
Correct.
Can you give us some examples of some of the work you've done internationally?
Yes, the Acro Bridges have been shipped all over the world with a strong presence in Central America, South America, and Africa. We recently completed a 1.4 kilometer bridge in Chile to help them recover from their earthquake of last year.
And the lifespan of your bridges would be how many years?
Well, it's a lifetime bridge, so it could be 75 years.
Chris, can you tell me, most of the employees you said are from the local area. Mm-hmm. What kind of job training do you require of them before they get here?
Well, the factory workers, we want to have a high school diploma, but we do train on the job. And we are a union shop, United Steelworkers of America, so we have a process where when a new job is available that they get to bid on it based on seniority, and we will train them for the job.
And your employees, I think you've mentioned, that are multi-generational?
Yes, we have many employees that have spent their whole careers at Milton Steel. There are fathers and sons, cousins, and brothers right now working together.
That's wonderful. It says a lot about your company. Can you walk me through the manufacturing process?
Sure. We buy steel from steel producing mills on the East Coast and that are rolled to the shapes that we require. We bring them in stock lengths, and then we will cut, punch, drill, and weld together, so when it gets out into the field, whether it's a bridge or other structure, it can be put together like an erector set with bolts and pins. So the operations really start from the raw material, manufacturing, our value-added part, and then typically gets either painted or hot-dip galvanized, and it will be shipped to the end customer anywhere in the world.
So if I were a customer and I were ordering a bridge today, I know it would probably be depending on the length of the bridge. What would be the average turnaround time?
Well, an advantage of the Acro Bridge is that it's a modular system. The parts are the same. So we have a rather large inventory of the standard parts. And it really just depends on the loading configuration and span of your bridge as to how many of those standard parts you use. So we can mobilize bridges very rapidly. It's not a job shop type bridge where it needs to start from a design and then be made custom. They're able to mobilize quickly.
And I think we discussed previously the Department of Transportation has also used these when they're doing bridge replacements or bridge repairs.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we've been very happy that the state of Pennsylvania is using Acro bridges for detour bridges in Pennsylvania, and it's important to know that these are not just for detour bridges. An Acro bridge is a very good choice, perhaps for some lower usage state township type roads, rather than just a detour for a new bridge.
Chris, I sit on the Labor and Industry Committee in Harrisburg, and I know there are a lot of obstacles for businesses, specifically manufacturing here in Pennsylvania. We are thrilled that you are still located here in my district in Milton, Pennsylvania. Can you talk about how that impacts your business and why you're able to stay here?
Well, sure. We're able to stay here because the work ethic of employees in central Pennsylvania is wonderful. Unfortunately, there are some regulatory issues and tax issues which make it difficult. We've been successful somewhat in spite of the environment, not because of it. The tax rate in Pennsylvania on businesses is extremely high, and we have a higher than national average rate for workers' compensation and unemployment compensation. And unfortunately, some of the regulatory burdens placed on us by the EPA and DEP are complicated and difficult to work with. So I think they can be simplified.
Can you tell me, I'm learning this is a little personal for you, that's a history for you here. Can you give us a little bit of that background?
Sure. I mentioned the company was started in 1927, and there have only been a couple of ownership changes since then. And my father and a partner who have been involved since the late 60s purchased the business in 1983. So it's been a part of my family since then. And we were excited this past summer to merge with Acro. So we're giving us something to continue to build our success upon, and that they are our number one customer. We were their number one supplier, and it really was a super strategic fit, which is going to be good for both of us as a combined entity moving forward.
And when your dad was here, did he work the business? Did he start at an entry-level position, or what did he do here?
Yeah, well, my dad is still here, and he started as an engineer and worked his way up from there.
That's great. Can you tell me, I know it's difficult sometimes to remain competitive in the world market, and what technologies do you use, or what makes you so competitive?
Well, it's a good point, is that our competitors are from all over the world. The Acro bridges we're selling in many markets, and the main competitor is from Great Britain. So in order to stay competitive, we do invest in new technology, and specifically we've got robotic welding cells here. We have automated CNC fabrication equipment, and we are continuously looking for ways to improve our processes to remain competitive. We believe that in central Pennsylvania we can compete with anyone in the world.
And the robots that you use, what specifically do they do?
They're welders. They are welding.
And is there a process they go through? How do they know what to weld, or how does that work?
Yeah, well, they need to be programmed with the right parts. And since our system is modular, we're making the same parts all day, every day. And we have workers in the shop, that are able to program and maintain and operate these robots. They don't operate by themselves.
And what do you see the future of Milton Steel?
Well, we have been growing. We're going to continue to grow, and certainly there is a large worldwide market for Acro bridges and for some of the other products that we make that we are continuing to serve. And these bridges especially are wonderful in that, we are really changing the lives of people in developing countries that, have no way to cross rivers, and we're able to give them that opportunity.
So you're opening up a whole new world for people, perhaps on a river they've never crossed.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for having us here today. I'm sure our viewers will be much enlightened by what you've taught us today about what you do here at Milton Steel as fabricating the steel, making bridges that are traveling worldwide in cases of disaster or connecting communities. You were at ground zero. I was unaware of that, and that speaks volumes for this company. Your employees are here, multi-generational. You're contributing to this community and this society, and we're very grateful. So thank you for that, and thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The next tour we'll be doing is we're going to Fresh Roasted Coffee in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania.
Did you know that Act 16 of 1999 honors one of the greatest leaders in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives? The Matthew J. Ryan Legislative Office Building, once known as the Capitol Annex, is located next to the main Capitol building and honors the late Speaker of the House, Matthew J. Ryan. Those who visit this building will observe the magnificent architectural designs providing eloquence and grandeur to the building. Known as one of the greatest members in the history of the Pennsylvania State House, Matthew Ryan started his career in the legislature in 1963 and was elected Speaker in 1981. His charisma and knowledge will forever be reflected in the building now named after this great legislative leader. Now you know. Did you know that the main entrance to the Pennsylvania State Capitol building is home of 2 bronze doors that each weigh over 1 ton? As the primary entrance to this beautiful architectural building, the bronze doors signify the many accomplishments and sacrifices endured throughout the history of the Commonwealth. The magnificent archway over top the doors contains a portrait of William Penn, founder of the Keystone State. The upper panels on the doors commemorate the forming of our nation, with the signing of the Declaration of Independence and Constitution. The bottom panels depict the laborious industries of the Commonwealth, including coal mining and agriculture. Now you know.
Hi, this is Lynda Schlegel Culver, State Representative of the 108th Legislative District. We are at Fresh Roasted Coffee in Selinsgrove, Pennsylvania. I'm with Andy Oakes, co-owner and brewmaster. And we're here to see, what makes this company unique and different. So Andy, can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Well, we roast and package coffee. We bring in green coffee beans from all over the world, roast and package coffee, and send it out to other companies that distribute it through their local distribution channels to restaurants, factories. We predominantly sell to coffee like water distribution companies, coffee vending companies, places like that. And we're able to use our state-of-the-art environmentally friendly coffee roaster and roast and grind it and put a custom label on each and every package that then goes out to the public to give that coffee vending company or bottled water company their own identity. It really is a help with marketing their products, just something else no one else has done in the area, and we're just trying to set ourselves apart.
Now, how do you decide when you start this process? Where do you get your coffee beans and how do you select them?
Well, we bring in coffee from all over the world, from everywhere: Sumatra, Guatemala, Honduras, Peru. There's many different kinds of coffee beans from around the world. There's very different origins. This is an organic coffee from Indonesia. It has a very different characteristic because of the way it's actually dried. There's not a great deal of water in many of the countries over in Indonesia, so they have to actually dry the coffee beans out in the ground, and that gives a lot of its distinctive characteristics. Sumatra again is very dark, and you can kind of see that as opposed to something from Brazil. You know, you can really see the difference in the coffee beans. It has a lot to do with their process. Brazil is the largest coffee producing country in the world, and because of that they have a lot of more access to water and a full production of those coffee beans. So when we bring them in here, we blend them, do different things with them to make the different coffees taste differently, and we then sell them to other companies to distribute through the few states surrounding us.
And what makes you decide what to blend together? Is it a consumer demand, what people are drinking, or?
Blending coffee is a very, very special and challenging. Different coffees blend well. Some do not like to blend well together. That is a very time-consuming, tedious process of trial and error to some extent. You get to know what the coffee beans actually taste like, what will work well with others. They each have their own characteristics, and if you put the wrong ones together, coffees that might be really delicious individually, they just don't function well together. So you have to be very, very careful of what you put together, and sometimes you put things together you think will work, and sometimes they just absolutely do not, and other times things that you might not expect to work out just turn into an incredible cup of coffee.
And what is your best-selling blend that you have going now?
We sell a lot locally through the valley here. We sell a great deal of what we call a signature blend. Now that's through, I own Oaks Coffee and Bottled Water. That's a distribution business through the valley here. They actually sell all the coffee to the restaurants and factories and places like that. And that's definitely my biggest seller. We sell to some of the other local cafes and restaurants, Whole Beans. That's a varied, we sell a lot of Sumatra, East Timor, Costa Rica Terrazoo is always a good one. Yeah, there's so many different origins. They all have their specific characteristics that make them enjoyable.
Okay, so now you get the beans, and what's the next step in the process?
Well, we load them into the hopper. I just have a small batch run now, but this is just a small batch of East Timor, and what we'll do is we'll lift it up into the machine here. And then this is actually fully computer programmed. And roasting coffee, there's different points that you do different things. And what I've been able to do is actually program the machine that it changes temperatures, airflow. There's a lot of different individual controls that at the end make a huge difference in what the coffee tastes like. So even though you may have a Sumatra, you can change its end taste by varying the individual things you do to it during the whole process. So what we'll do, we'll actually drop it. And it goes through and roasts. It'll spin around, it'll run its program. It will adjust the air and the time and the temperature at which everything is roasted. And when it's actually complete, it'll dump into the hopper here. So at this point, it's a completely automated process.
Is it roasting the coffee now?
It is roasting the coffee now. Yep.
And how long does that process take?
That takes about 14 minutes.
Okay.
You can actually smell the...
Oh my gosh.
It smells kind of like wet grass. It goes through different phases. It goes from like a wet grass to a hay. It slowly turns into what smells a little bit like bread.
Okay.
And then you start to get a full-on coffee smell.
Reminds me of a nut.
Yes, yeah. It's actually a lot of fun. And different beans have different aromas, you know, and everything. The fun part of it is truly pulling the specific character out of each of every beans. If you don't roast it properly, you'll end up with something that doesn't taste near as good as it possibly could.
And what's the temperature? I think I was watching it over there. Does it go up to 350 or?
It can go up to just shy of 500 degrees depending,
Okay.
you know, on what you're actually roasting.
Andy, can you talk about the environmentally friendly process that you go through with this machine?
Well, normally a coffee roaster this size would have 800,000 BTUs of burners underneath the roasting drum. This actually does not have any heat underneath. It is entirely here in the chimney, and what happens is it actually heats the air, incinerates any emissions, and recycles the heated air back into the machine so that it doesn't have to use as much natural gas as it normally would. So what it does, it creates a zero oxygen environment. So this is actually a completely controlled environment inside this machine. It's the only one I know of in the world actually that's quite like this. It is totally devoid of oxygen, which is the enemy of coffee. It actually, because of it, makes a better tasting cup of coffee. But what it does, this whole process, you superheat the air, you incinerate the emissions. We have a basic zero emissions into the atmosphere from this machine. It actually, the only smell that you get outside is once the beans dump out into the hopper, you'll smell a little bit come off the cooling tray. But other than that, that is just about the only thing you'll smell. So it's very environmentally friendly. It saves about 80% on fuel usage. So, you know, it's totally green and really truly just sets us apart from anyone else in the state. This is the only one in the state. There's only 29 in the entire country at the moment. So it is truly state of the art.
That's great. Okay, Andy, after we roast the beans, we grind them, and then we come to this machine, and what happens here?
Well, this is our vertical form fill seal. It actually packages all the coffee in the individual pillow packs for the various customers. We can custom print various different companies' name right on our special coffee bags so that they go out and they have what looks like their own complete custom private label product, and we're able to do it in more short run than a traditional coffee company would, that would require film for each and every customer. So it's something very different that's not done.
And are most of your customers local, or do you ship across the
We are
United
shipping,
States?
We've only been up and running for about 6 months. We are shipping, our furthest customer so far is West Virginia, but we're adding customers, it seems, almost weekly here. We continue to look for other new potential customers, and as well as we own FreshRoastedCoffee.com, so we're shipping ground and whole bean coffee across the country as well.
Now, can you tell me, I mean, you didn't wake up overnight, decide you were going to do this and open this business. You opened this business when?
This business actually started functioning in July of this year.
Okay.
That was the first we actually packaged coffee, but it's been a 3-year project, bringing all the resources together, developing the idea, learning how to blend and roast coffee. It has been a long road.
And can you talk about sort of the journey from dream to reality?
Well, I could never find a company willing to roast and package and do it quite as I would. So I I moved around between different coffee roasters, and I still was just never satisfied. And so I continued to build my other business, Oaks Coffee and Bottled Water, through the years to the point that it could help sustain this idea. And once we got to that point, I developed a business plan, went out looking for the proper equipment, something that would set us apart, and really brought it all together, brought a couple investors in, and we were able to put this whole facility together.
And did you work with any agencies at the state level to come to this point?
We worked with the Keystone Innovation Zone. This building is actually in a Keystone Innovation Zone. There's a lot of great resources through the Keystone Innovation Zone to help new entrepreneurs bring their ideas together. There was a business competition plan that I had run through. They had a lot of help with helping to put the right people together, the right government agencies. Actually, we applied for an exemption from DEP that kept us from having to be inspected due to the zero emissions of the coffee roaster. We were able to, with the help of DCED, get an exemption from DEP coming in and inspecting the emissions of the facility, which was a wonderful, wonderful assistance as well.
And you employ how many people?
3 so far, but we're hoping to grow, and as we continue to add customers, we will continue to add additional people.
Now, I know you've been here for less than a year, but
Yes.
what are your future plans for this company?
Well, I would like to roast and package for everybody I can, grow to the point. This facility we built out is quite roomy. There's room for a second larger roaster right next to it. We actually have the gas line plumbed in. The three-phase service is ready. There's room for a second bagging machine right here. We're actually able to produce a very vast variety of products through this machine, from the pillow packs to flat bottom bags that you would see on the shelves at Wise's.
Okay.
So this machine, really an interesting machine to watch. It actually runs through, takes a film and turns it into individual packages of coffee.
Andy, thank you so much for bringing us into your business today, explaining how you do this eco-friendly, smokeless, and fine quality beans for a fine quality product. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for having us here. This is Representative Lynda Schlegel Culver. This is the end of our legislative report. If you have any questions, please contact my district office. Thank you.